Hi everyone, it's Elisa here. Today I'm gonna talk about 5 common mistakes beginners make when editing their portraits. It's quite funny for me to make this video because I was making the exact same mistakes when I first started to shoot portraits, and I'm sure many professional photographers did too. The first mistake is to rely too much on presets. Many times when I'm posting my photos, I received the question, what preset are you using? And I remembered when I was a beginner, I did buy a preset pack because when I saw the ad, I was like, oh my god, I just want my photos to look just like that. But when I applied it to my photos, it just didn't look like how the advertising was, because presets are not like a baseball cap where one size fits all. Many of them only fit to a certain type of lighting, environment, or colors, and when they advertise these presets, they carefully select these images that check those boxes. So the best thing to do is before you start using presets, just learn the software you use, see what each tools or settings are doing, dare to experiment, like grab one slider and pull it all the way to one end and see what happens and what it does. It might look crazy, but that's okay, and just grab it again and pull it all the way to the other end just to see what effect it has on your image. This will help you later on when you're using a preset to be able to know which settings to change, to be able to fine-tune it, to make the photograph exactly how you envision it, so it will represent your personality and your unique style. Unfortunately, not all software or presets will allow you this. For example, I'm using Luminar, and while in Luminar AA, when you select a preset, then it sets the setting and allows you to customize them, giving you a lot of flexibility. As of now in Luminar Neo, it only applies the preset as filter like Instagram and only lets you change the strength of it, which is, in my opinion, just made preset system unusable. Also, some of the presets you can download are actually loot files where, again, you can't change anything but the opacity. The second mistake I often see is too much editing on the skin. Quite often I see portraits where the skin looks like that it's made out of wax, but not on a professional level like Madame Tussauds. There's a saying, less is more, and it's very true to skin editing. If you overdo the skin softening, then your subject will easily become more like a plastic toy than an actual human being. The texture in the skin is an important part of the photo, and when you simply just use blurring the skin to beautify it, then you are removing this texture, speaking from personal experience. Also, the fine lines on our faces make everyone unique, so removing them will distort the soul of the image. So to avoid this, use frequency separation and use the blurring on smaller local areas instead of using just one big blurring on the low frequency half. Make sure you keep the natural lines on the forehead, under the eyes, and around the nose. You can soften them a bit, but make sure it's not completely removed to preserve the characteristic of your model. Another mistake I see is over-editing the eyes. I'm sure you heard the phrase, eyes are the windows to the soul. And it's 100% true when it comes to photographs. When you look at a person, usually the eye is the first thing you look at. And when you talk to someone, the eye is the one where you can see honesty or even emotions. Even animals, when they look at someone, they look at the eyes to see your intentions. This is why the eye is the most important part of the photograph. That's why all camera systems are trying to constantly perfect their eye autofocus. Probably, this is why many times beginners are over-editing the eyes, making them too bright, too saturated, sometimes to the level where the small details and the features of the eye are completely gone. And there's this one thing that became a trend. It's enlarging the eyes. Why would you even do that? That's weird, don't do it. So while you need to emphasize the eyes, you have to make sure that they stay in sync with the rest of the image. Make sure that they are not overly brightened, still have all the features like the veins, the pupils, and all the shading that gives depth and life to the eye, and through that, to your image. And talking about eyes, one very common mistake I see is not leading the viewer's eye or leading it all over the place. There are many things that will attract the eyes of the viewer. It can be very simple things like a darker contrasty area on the sides, or a colorful patch, or just a distracting element in the background, like a car or another person. And some of them are not always easy to remove, like this fallen tree branch in the foreground and these two branches close to my subject. So make sure, if you can, try to remove all distracting elements from your composition before you take the photo. Also, having too many dominant colors or not having any in your image can lead to the viewers getting confused where to look. Having the same contrast across your frame can also be a great distraction. So even if you're careful while shooting, there are elements where things can go wrong. So always try to use these elements in pairs to grab attention only in parts where you want your viewers' eyes to go. For example, using sharpness only in specific areas you want attention, and soften the image where you don't want attention. You can achieve this by playing with the contrast and using levels to matte parts that are not very important. Like I've matte these foreground trees because they are just elements I use as a natural frame for my subject. Also ensure that you color grade your image with mostly one dominant color and one or two complementing colors, so it will also help to lead the eye. Like here, I mainly use two colors, beige as the dominant color and green as complementary. If you want to know how I plan to shoot like this, I've already made a separate video and you can find it here, or here, somewhere here. And we already talked about the importance of skin features and the importance of color grading, but one common mistake I see is not fixing the skin tones. When you're shooting portraits, the right skin tone is just as important as having the right white balance. Our skin has a healthy tone, and anything that is different from it gives us the impression that the person is sick or something is not right with them. I see many times when people apply color grade, they apply to the whole image and including the skin. Same applies for presets. Some people often apply them to the whole image, making the skin tones look unnatural. You have to make sure that the skin midtones are always the right hue, saturation, and luminosity. If you want to add grading to your skin tones, then use the shadows or the highlights. You can add some tinting there, but the midtones are the key for a healthy looking portrait. Of course, in some cases, when there's a reason obvious to the viewer, like if you are using colored lights or your subject is sitting next to a campfire, it's fine to have your skin tone different as the viewer can see the reason for the difference. So whenever you're doing color grade or using preset or LUT, always make sure you use mask to keep the skin tones the way they should be. As I said, don't worry if you're making these mistakes, as we've all been there, done that. Just start making it a habit to fix these issues. Also, if you don't have a color calibrated monitor, then try to review the image on as many different screens as you can, like your computer, your phone or tablet, and also a smart TV. But if you want the best results, then try to rent or buy a monitor calibration tool like the one I'm using, the Spider 5 Express. You don't need to buy the latest and greatest, just get the one that fits your budget. It will help a lot in color grading, and it's a small investment for great results. And no, this is not sponsored by Datacolor, but if they want to, call me. I hope this video was helpful to you. If yes, then please like and share this video and make sure to subscribe to not miss videos like this in the future. And leave us a comment. What mistakes did you make when you started photography?